Well, we should probably get started because it's noon and then, oh, here's a couple more folks coming in. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Conscious Capitalism of Central Maryland and our Food for Thought. We're excited that everybody is here. We have a few more people coming in, so I will allow them to, I'll let them in as we go, but I'm going to turn it over to Camille. Do you want to say anything first?
Sure, I can say welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to our Food for Thought. Yay for organizing a lunch version of our normal talks.
Instead of our early coffee meeting.
Right. Diversifying our options and offerings, right? So happy and I cannot wait for this conversation. And I guess I can turn it over to Liz if you want to.
Sure.
Thanks.
Well, so welcome everyone. And this is one of four virtual discussions that we have been doing on a regular basis for the past few years. And so in each one, we focus on a particular pillar of conscious business, which are purpose, stakeholder orientation, culture, and leadership. And so today's focus is going to be on stakeholder orientation. And the definition of stakeholder orientation can best be described as the opposite of shareholder orientation, where shareholder orientation is focused on making money for shareholders to the exclusion of everything else. And so stakeholder orientation doesn't mean that making money is like that's still important, but that everything else is of equal importance, which includes taking care of your employees, the community needs, your vendor needs, the environment, and the list could go on and on. And so that's basically what it means to have a stakeholder orientation. And so for today's discussion, we are bringing in Buffy who's the executive director of the Women's Giving Circle, and Kashana. Is Kashana with us now?
I don't see her on here, but I know she's going to be jumping on.
Okay, well, we'll welcome her a little bit later when she's on. But so for now, welcome, Buffy. If I was wondering if you'd like to just give us a brief introduction of who you are and what your organization does.
Sure, sure. Thanks. It's so good to be here with everybody. And I'll say, the Women's Giving Circle is a longtime member of the group and very proud to be so. And I think the fact that we have this organization in Central Maryland speaks a lot about the organization itself, all of the businesses and individuals involved in our community. Just out of curiosity, how many of these types of groups do you know are in the state or around the country?
This
Do
is
you
the
all
only
know
one I
that?
know of in the state of Maryland,
Mhm.
but I'm not entirely sure.
Do you mean of conscious capitalism? Or
Yes.
yeah, I think we are the only one. There's a Washington D.C. chapter, and then there's a Philly chapter, but yeah, we think we're the only one in
I,
Maryland.
Maryland.
I've asked this question before, and it doesn't sound like there's been more. And so it's both sad, I suppose, that more groups haven't been about. But the fact that this group continues to thrive, I think, says a lot about our community. So again, it's great to see everyone, and I'm really happy to be here and be part of the group. And in terms of the Women's Giving Circle, I don't, have you all heard of the circle before? I know some of you have, or participated in events. That's great to hear. But I'll just let you know, we are a fund of the Community Foundation of Howard County. We have been around for a little over 23 years. And the idea of a giving circle is that it brings people together who pool their dollars and then make decisions on where those dollars are going to go and where you're going to invest those dollars in the community. And so our giving circle is focused on programs and initiatives that benefit women and girls. So we started about 23 years ago. In that time, we've had over 1,700 unique donors, primarily women, invest in the Women's Giving Circle. We've given over $1.2 million out in Howard County in our community, again, to programs that benefit women and girls or their families. And we also are one of the few giving circles around the country, a quarter of a century ago, essentially, that at that time decided to also create an endowment because our founders had decided that not only did we want to be giving money in the community, but we wanted to make sure that there would be money to in perpetuity to be able to invest in these programs. So to date, we have about a $1.1 million endowment that we have also been able to create from, again, individual donors, primarily all over the county. So that means that that money will draw from each year and it will continue to grow, in theory, with the stock market, so that we will have money to invest. So that's the idea of our giving circle. Giving circles are a really cool form of philanthropy in that they bring people together to pool dollars, but the idea behind them has been around for centuries, right? People pooling dollars to decide where they want that money to go, to be able to really be able to have more of an impact together than you might otherwise have alone. So there's a lot of power in bringing people together who pool their dollars and invest them together, but it also democratizes philanthropy. It allows, more and more people to come together, sit at the philanthropic table, learn a little bit about philanthropy in the community, network together, socialize together, learn about specific programs, and then give money to those programs together. And there's lots of byproducts of this type of collaborative giving where sometimes people who participate, it might be the first time they've ever really decided to make an investment of some sort or another that feels meaningful and significant to them. Sometimes it's very experienced people who've been given for a long time, but brings all these people together. And then oftentimes people take what they learn from this type of collective giving and they create their own fund at the community foundation, or they volunteer more at a nonprofit that they learned about, or they give separately from the giving circle to programs or initiatives that they've learned about. So they kind of the leveraging of this type of philanthropy, goes on and on in local communities. We are one of thousands of giving circles that have popped up in the last 25 years around the country that have given billions of dollars together in local communities. It is not all women, but it is primarily women or women-focused giving circles, but there's all types, all shapes, all sizes, some that have given, millions and millions of dollars, and others that have people get together, pool their dollars once a month in a local neighborhood, throw the money in a shoebox and decide where they're going to give it out, and everything in between. So they're very flexible, they're fun, again, a social and networking component. So I say all of that not only to let you know about, hi there, Kashana, to let you know about our giving circle, but a little bit of the context behind it and why they are one of the fastest forms of philanthropy that has been growing around the country and really around the world. And again, it not only is bringing more voices and faces and lived experiences to the philanthropic table, but is creating relationships that are lasting in a variety of ways. So that is a little bit about the Women's Giving Circle of Howard County, and we're excited to be here today. Kashana, good to see you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, and that is very inspiring, and we're excited to have you here. And welcome, Kashana. Um, I would love for you to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are. And Kashana, she is on the board for the Women's Giving Circle, but is also the founder and CEO of Leading Forward. But could you just tell us a little bit about who you are and your organization?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. My name is Kashana Marrow, and I am, as you said, the president and CEO of Simply Kashana. And a part of that, or what falls under the umbrella of that, is SK Lead Forward, which is a training and development organization traveling around the world to really change people, not just professionally, but also personally, helping them to understand the power of who they are and how they can bring that into the workplace to make an impact on the workplace in a healthy way. We're building workplace relationships, and I do apologize. I'm just finishing up a class, and what better way, what energy I want to bring from that class into this conversation today. So I'm super excited about being here, and definitely excited about being a member on the board for the Women's Giving Circle, where we're doing so many things to make sure that we're making an impact in the community and changing lives through that impact.
Thank you. So welcome. And so we'll just dive right into the questions. I have a handful of questions, but this is meant to be more of a group discussion. So if anybody does have a question, feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll try to keep an eye on it and make sure that your question gets asked. But I will also open it up at the end so that you can ask in person if you'd prefer. So either way. So how do you see business playing a critical role in helping to shape the world in positive ways? Do you have any thoughts to share on that idea?
I'm sure we both probably do. You want to jump in, Kashana?
Go ahead, Buffy. Go ahead. You started, and I'll tag you.
Okay, great. Well, one thing that I also should mention that in terms of the 1,700 unique donors that I mentioned who have given to the Women's Giving Circle in the last 23 years, many of them are business owners in one form or another. Or, we have sponsorships throughout the year, and a number of them are business sponsorships. And so, your question is a great one. And I think that what I always come back to I should take a step back and say that I've worked in philanthropy or human rights my entire career in the nonprofit sector, but I've worked in philanthropy for almost 30 years. And one of the things that I've said to businesses as I've worked with them to be thinking about what type of philanthropy they want to be doing or how they can be giving back to the community is that it's not one or the other, as you all well know. I mean, giving back to the community is both good for the community, but it's also really good for business. And I think businesses that, like those who are part of this group, all of you, who understand that, really know about the opportunities that you have to make a difference in the community. And so, I was looking at kind of some of the things that I've either written about through the years or talked to businesses about through the years. But I think there's a lot of ways, and again, you all are living that, but that businesses can and are having an impact, whether it is through relationship building in the community, investing in sponsorships and things along those lines, which are pretty visible and kind of well-known forms of corporate philanthropy. But there's also ways to give hours to employees to be able to volunteer in the community, or developing a matching gift program, or thinking about in-kind contributions, or other sorts of employee giving programs, or volunteering grants, or there's so much room for creativity among businesses of all sizes about how to be thinking about working with their own employees, with their own stakeholders, and with the community to be making a difference across the board. Kashan, I'll throw it to you as a business owner.
So I will say, as a business owner, I have the wonderful opportunity owning, but also talking to other owners, talking to organizations, leaders in organizations who are wanting to make sure that they have an impact in their community. They're understanding more and more that their employees are wanting to partner with employers that have social responsibility. They're saying, listen, it's great that you say this on your website, but what are you really doing for the community around you? And I think this is a wonderful opportunity for businesses to be able to step in and say, we want to do what's best for our community, not what we think is best, but for what is actually best for our community. The only way to do that is to get into the community, because whether you realize it or not, they actually hold stake to your organization. They actually make sure that your organization is protected indirectly. And so I don't think that sometimes people don't think about that, but it is a wonderful opportunity to step back and say, what can we do to make sure that this is a collaborative effort? That we're just not trying to say what we think people need, but we know what they need because we have a presence. When you have a presence in the community, they will miss you if or when you're gone. And that's what we have to really kind of step back and say, if we left today or tomorrow, will people miss what we've done? Will people miss how we've changed lives or transformed lives? And so that is definitely something that I think businesses can take a look at. And let me tell you, in today's environment, in today's economy, people are saying, what changes can we make? What can we do? And what is the company that we're working for doing? The opportunity that I have, which is a unique opportunity, is to do training and development around the world where employees are disengaged, or they are firmly, or they are actively engaged. And I think that they're actively engaged because they see a bigger picture. They see a bigger picture. They're saying, this is not just something that I'm doing, but this is something that I'm motivated by. This is not something that I'm passionate about, but this is something that I'm actually called to. So how can we get those employees? How can we support those employees so that they can move into positions of not just power, but positions of authority, and begin to really make a difference how we want to see the difference made? I'm sorry, I know that was a lot, but I want.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I'll just
thank
say,
you.
I'll build off, Kashana, like what you're saying too, if I may, that when we talk about, business being good for the community, or excuse me, philanthropy being good for the community, but also good for business, and then underscoring kind of what Kashana's just saying, like, what the impetus is, what does the business want to be known for, and then talking about the different ways you might do it. Think, through the years, learning about the way that businesses have engaged in philanthropy, there's a lot that businesses get, again, of all sizes beyond goodwill. There's strengthened trust and loyalty among stakeholders that businesses can reap when giving to the community. If a business has a philanthropic initiative, it really can signal that business values more than profit. And customers and employees and partners are likely to stay more, invest more, engage more in a company than invest in causes that they care about. But there's also enhanced brand reputation and visibility for businesses of all sizes who do some sort of giving in the community. So it can boost a company's public image. It can kind of differentiate a business of all sizes from its competitors. And it creates really authentic storytelling opportunities, again, for businesses of all sizes that resonate with a community that it's investing in. It can also have deeper stakeholder engagement. So the business is kind of encouraging different ways of giving, whether it's time or talent or treasure or storytelling or ties in the community. It really can invite broader participation among employees and among partners and vendors in the broader community, and kind of connects a business more to the community in a variety of ways. And it also, as I'm sure you all know, can attract and retain talent among your employees and partners and vendors that you're working with. So purpose-driven businesses are especially appealing also to, younger generations who value mission-aligned employees and have philanthropic opportunities because of that. And then another, potential benefit is long-term sustainability and impact. So if you're a business located in a community with relationships and ties and investment, it can lead to more kind of stable and supportive environments where the business can thrive. And strategic philanthropy can really help businesses kind of take a step back and assess risks and innovation solutions and lasting partnerships. And so I think those kind of 5 areas can be delved into a little bit more thoroughly if it's something that is attractive to a business, but it really can help to solidify a business in a community where it reaps all sorts of benefits.
Mhm. So, Kashana, you brought up a good point about not just doing what a business thinks the community needs, but actually doing what the community needs. And I was wondering if the two of you could dive into a little bit of how a business who might be interested in expanding their giving or their partnerships with the community, how they might approach that in a way where they're actually helping as opposed to just thinking that they're doing the right thing when they're not really.
Yes, I think to this is collaboration. And one of the things that is important, especially for WGC, I can say for Women's Giving Circle, is that we keep our ear to the street. And what I mean by that is how we're collaborating with other organizations, because we can't do it ourselves. That's why we partner with other organizations and find out what do we need to do, what's going on in the community. I know we recently partnered with Horizon Foundation with the Elevate Women report. Again, this is our ear to the street and finding out what Black women need in order to feel, what Black executive directors need in order to feel supported. Those type of things are so very important, and they help us to be philanthropic in terms of our time, and our whatever our resources are, whether it's our time, our money, or our talent. And so I believe that that collective, or not collective, but the collaborative effort is definitely important when we are wanting to make sure that we're doing the best for the community, because sometimes we can get on boards and think that we are doing the best for the community when we're not connected to the community. So we're really not doing what's best for the community. We're doing what makes us feel good. So we have to be careful about that. Not doing what makes us feel good, but what is actually impactful in the community. Buffy, I'll pass it to you too.
Yeah, thanks. No, that's such a great example, Kashana. And I just put in the chat the link to this new report that Kashana had mentioned. It's called Elevating to Evolve: Stories of Wisdom, Excellence, and a Call for Change from Black Women Nonprofit Leaders in Howard County. And coincidentally, it was just publicly released this morning. And it was a partnership between the Women's Giving Circle and Horizon Foundation, as Kashana mentioned. And this is an example of philanthropy reaching out into the community and getting information from stakeholders around the county through very thoughtful, almost 50 conversations with women who are involved, Black women who are involved in the nonprofit sector, whether as a board member, as an executive director of a nonprofit, a rising leader of some sort, or anyone who's in the past served in those capacities, and getting a sense of how we as philanthropists can be better allies. But also, this report has some action items that is not just for the funding community. It is for nonprofits, their members of their boards of directors, for businesses, and for the community overall, to get a sense of what's happening from those on the ground. And then again, some action items on how we can better support. And so that's, again, Kashana, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's a good example of how we have just recently done something. But again, there's a lot of businessmen and women who are on boards of directors, as I'm sure you all know, who serve in various capacities. And so this transcends just the philanthropic sector, but this is how businesses operate too, right? They reach out to their stakeholders, or they have the opportunity to do so. Reach out to their stakeholders, reach out to their employees, reach out to their partners, and getting a sense of, if we want to affect change in one form or another in the community, to your point, Kashana, rather than deciding what it is we think we're going to do, if you're a mission-focused organization, you have an opportunity based on your mission to be reaching out and figuring out how you can best invest your dollars, which is what every business wants to do.
Well, thanks for sharing that, and I look forward to reading that after this. So another question that I have, and again, sorry if might appear to be asking the same question in different ways, but just maybe describing things from different viewpoints. If stakeholder orientation is different from what I'll just call a business as usual or sort of maybe an older conventional way of doing things. In what ways would you say this looks different? Or do you see it different?
Kashana, do you want to take that?
There. I'm sorry, that mute button is was escaping me. I love the fact that you're talking about stakeholder orientation, and really what I believe you're saying in stakeholder orientation is let's get back to the mission and make sure that everyone knows about the mission, every stakeholder. It's not just about people who invest in the company. It's not just about people who are working in the company. It's also about people outside. So it's internally as well as externally. So stakeholder orientation to me just is a reset. It's allowing everyone to understand what the mission, the core values, the vision is of our organization, and making sure that we're fueling into or we're feeding into that mission, that vision, and that those core values, making sure that it's at the forefront of everyone's mind. What I have seen, just as in the work that I do, is that everyone kind of gets away from that, which is why they're disengaged. But when you pull everyone back in and say, this is why we're here, it all wraps around philanthropic work. This is why we're here. This is why we come into the door and do what we do. Then it centers everyone and it allows everyone to move forward with the mission at hand. Every business wants to know that you're making an impact, not just in the community, but to some extent in the nation or in the world, global impact, a global footprint. Everyone wants to make sure that this is something that I need to do because I'm working to be better in this world. I'm working to make sure that I empower or that I help people, encourage people to do the best that they can do and be the best that they can be in this world. And so that's really what I feel we're talking about when we're saying stakeholder orientation. We're saying get back to the mission. Do some level setting and making sure that you're feeding into what the mission, the goals, and the core values are of the organization. And if they are not aligned with where you are right now, because sometimes you evolve as a business, if they are not aligned with where you are, then make sure that you go back to the table, go back to your strategic planning session, go back to those notes, dust them off and say, where do we need to tweak? Where do we need to make sure that we are aligned with what's going on in today's time and in this moment to stay engaged and relevant? Because with every change, there is an opportunity to become effective as well as relevant. So with changes, we need those changes, but make sure that we open ourselves up to change in a way that allows us to remain relevant.
You have anything to add?
I'll just
Bucky,
add
before I
on
move
what
on?
you said. I'll just say, it seems to me that the way that we are talking about and thinking about stakeholder orientation, especially as it relates to altruism from a business, is just a very kind of context setting and healthy and holistic way to be thinking about running a business, which not every business does.
Yeah. Yeah, which actually leads me to my next question. There's no doubt in my mind that the kind of work that your organizations are doing are aligned with stakeholder orientation and your mission. But I was wondering if you could share a little bit about the other parts of stakeholder orientation, which is how your own operations are run. Are there ways in which you run your operations from a stakeholder orientation?
For me, I would say I really have to be in the know of things. And again, this is kind of keeping my ear to the street again, because things are constantly constantly evolving, constantly changing. And I have this theory: if you're not changing, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you become ineffective. And when you become ineffective, you become irrelevant. It is so important for us to remain relevant. I have to throw some philanthropy in there because I believe that there is definitely a connection, if you will, of our business as well as the work that we're doing in the community. And just, I mean, to kind of tag into what you're saying, I was also reading the chat and someone was asking, or Matthew was asking, of the supply and demand side of value chain stakeholders. Again, stay true to your core values. Make sure that even when you're talking about supply and demand, you're remaining relevant. What is going on right now? And how can you take a step back from your approach to ensure that you are effective in your approach? It does us no good to be business owners and leaders if we are staying in yesterday's world. There is a very real and very now stance, a very now presence that we have to take in today's society, and that the way through that is, again, the social responsibility that we have in our community. It's a great way to say, hey, what can we do to make sure that what we are providing is something that the community still needs or people still need. Let people know consistently how valuable they are in terms of their what they're bringing to the workplace. I think those things are important as well. People are losing their momentum because they don't see the value of what they're doing. They're just kind of coming and getting stuck in this humdrum, or this mundane way of doing things. But what can you do as a leader to ensure that they are engaged in the work, to ensure that the work is impacting the community, to ensure that the supply and demand is what you did yesterday the same as today? We are in this, I don't know, social media driven world where we are seeing change happen so frequently. And one of the reports that I read a few years ago was that we are seeing change every 2 to 3 years. Students who are coming out of college, when they come out of college, 2 to 3 years later, the information that they learned in college is no longer relevant. What that tells me is our culture is changing very rapidly. Therefore, we have to stay connected. I wouldn't say, if you are a person who is looking at, there's a demand now for 1,000 units of something, I would say be very careful about purchasing 1,000 units of it unless it's on order, right? Because the demand may also shift very quickly. Again, making sure that you stay connected is so very important. And you do that through becoming a part of boards, becoming a part of coalitions and, societies that may keep you connected as well from a different part. There's a very diverse way of seeing things, and you want to be connected so that you can respond accordingly. I said a lot, Buffy. I want you to chime into that.
Yeah, well, again, building off what you said, Kashana and Liz, to your question about, how do our organizations then think about our stakeholders? I think I had mentioned, earlier on, the notion of collective giving and bringing more and more diverse voices and lived experiences to the philanthropic table. That's one of the greatest assets I think we have as a giving circle, especially if that's what you believe in, you truly believe in, which we do. And so I think from a giving perspective, I will say we did things a little bit differently in Howard County 24 years ago than many of our peers have done around the country, in that the notion of kind of the more typical giving circle, regardless of the size, is that individuals give a certain amount per year, and then you have one vote on where you want those dollars to go. And while we do have opportunities to do that in our giving circle, we decided 25 years ago that we wanted as many stakeholder donors in Howard County to participate as possible. So we didn't go that direction. We actually are a giving circle with a little bit more of a women's fund framework, in that all donations are welcome and are valued, and anyone who gives to the Women's Giving Circle is considered both a donor and kind of a quote unquote member of the circle. And that many circles provide kind of one opportunity to give, and they're wonderful and they're fabulous. And what we love about giving circles is that there's no right way to do them. But we chose in Howard County to provide kind of a menu of options of ways that donors/stakeholders, at least donor stakeholders, could give to the Women's Giving Circle to be as inclusive as possible. And so while we've operated a little bit differently, that's why we've had over again 1,700 kind of unique donors who've given to the circle in a variety of ways. Some give every year, some give every month, some have given once, and everything in between. And every way that women and men, but primarily women, are giving to the circle is valued and appreciated and celebrated in one form or another. And everybody's invited to participate in Women's Giving Circle events for the most part in a variety of ways. So I say that because one of the things that we also express over and over again is not only the amount of the actual investment, financial investment, but we talk over and over again and lift up the voices of our donors in a variety of ways. And I should say our stakeholders, because it's donors, partners, grantee partners on the ground, and everything in between. We try to mention over and over again that everybody's a philanthropist, first of all. We want to demystify that word and let everyone know that when you give, you're a philanthropist. But there's also more than one way to give. You can give your financial dollars, but you can give time, you can give talent. You can give treasure in a variety of ways, and you can give testimony, meaning that you can be there as a supporter, an advocate, an ally, a partner in so many ways, with your time and your voice and your support to issues and individuals and nonprofits in the community. And so giving means a lot of things, at least in our view. And a lot of stakeholders are invited to the table. And so when we provide a diverse kind of viewpoint about philanthropy and we include as many voices and lived experiences to the table, we think it makes the work that we do stronger, more inclusive, and more meaningful to those who are participating.
Thanks. And thanks, Camille, for adding to the chat different ways of giving, which is time, talent, and treasure. Yeah, I think that's an important point, that it's not just about financial philanthropy, but that it's a much broader range of possibilities. Which is why I would also like to bring up, just for the benefit of the whole group, many of whom might be business owners who are really just trying to make a living and may not necessarily have a lot of, or even any money to give at this time. And I hear a misconception really often when I talk to people that I know or interact with about the idea of conscious business. And in their minds, the thing that pops into their head is, oh, you're a philanthropist. And while philanthropy can be a very important part of conscious business, that's not necessarily what it means, but it means that your entire business as a whole is you're trying to make the world a better place through your business model. And so it might or may not include philanthropy. But I really appreciate Camille adding that, like donating time, or even just building awareness within the community, is also very helpful. I would like to actually open this to the group. If people have questions, if you want to just unmute yourself and ask them, because we have a small enough group, I really want people to be able to hear your voice. So feel free to chime in. Otherwise, I'll take it back over again.
Hi, I'm Catherine Diaz-Pikett. I own Tidy Milso. It's a professional home organizing brand. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I have donated a lot of pads and tampons and all the things through the Women's Giving Circle, and I've noticed that some of the drop-off locations have changed a little bit. So I don't know. I think you guys have one coming up. Like a donation drive. And so this really helps my clients because that is one of the things that is just kind of weird to donate, right? To let go of, to throw in the trash. They cost a lot of money. And so it's one of the ways that my clients can be, philanthropic is through donating the items that they no longer want. So just wanted to know if that's changed, if there's like other donation drop-offs that I'm not aware of. Some of these I've come across just in my, daily abouts, and I see something and I'm like, oh, okay, I can donate here. So just want to know from that perspective. And then I know that you guys partner with a lot of other businesses, and the Women's Giving Circle is kind of really, it's very aligned with what I do because I primarily work with women. And so just want to know if there are ways that I can help in terms of, you know, what we talked about, time, talent, treasure, testimony, if there's anything that I can do to help and support, because I am a small business, but I'm not a small business that is at that scale point. So if there's ways that I can contribute.
Oh, Buffy, I'll let you answer the question about the pads, and I'll answer the question about the business part of it.
Love
Is that
it. Great.
okay? Go ahead, Beth. Buffy, you go with the pads first.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, awesome. Thank you so much for participating in our period product drive. I put a link in chat, and you're right. You've noticed that some of the drop stations have changed, but what we have been doing for the last couple of years is called our Break the Cycle period product drive. And and the reason that we've been doing that is because this is something that is so important to women and girls across the world. And it is something that is, as you said, people don't really want to talk about it, or it's easily and often overlooked that there are so many women and girls who are affected on a daily basis going to work, going to school, playing sports, whatever it might be, because they can't afford period products, which are very expensive. And so this is something that we actually decided to do for we started out wanting to do it for a year for our 20th anniversary, and we got such a great response from the community that we decided to incorporate it in something that we do on a regular basis. And so what it is a period product drive. We have partnered with businesses, as you mentioned, in the community that host a cardboard box with our logo on it and an opportunity for any of our partner organizations to kind of write in their name that we're partnering together, and they're a drop-off site to take period products from anybody in the community who wants to donate. We've partnered with Howard Community College. We have boxes there. We have boxes at all of the library facilities across the county. We have boxes at Columbia Association. We've partnered with Howard County Public Schools. We've done a variety of things in terms of partnering with kind of institutions in the community as well as local business. And we also are raising money. And this year, for the first time, we have a student intern program. So we have 7 students from various high schools across the county that have spent kind of an organized amount of time this past school year with us, learning about period poverty, being spokeswomen for our effort, collecting products, hosting, Catherine, as you mentioned, a couple of period product drives. We actually have one coming up Saturday morning, April 26th at HCC in Lot B from 9 to 11, where cars drive up and put period products in a box. And this will go to Howard County Public Schools. And the reason that we did that is because they called us and said, we have students at our schools who can't afford period products. We know you do this period product drive. Can you help us? So we've already given them a couple £100 of products, and we're hoping that the drive in a week and a half, our student interns will collect enough products to help students get through the summer. I mean, that's kind of our goal, to be able to collect a couple £100 of product. When we did one back in December, and that was for our partners at Howard Community College for their student pantry. And we were already partnering with them, but we got a call from them also saying, we cannot keep these period products on the student pantry shelves. Do you have any extra products? Is there anything that you can do to help us? So we did a period product drive in Lot B again, and we were able to collect enough products to help them with the pantry for about 3 months. And so these are institutions, major institutions in our county that have individuals who need assistance. And so that's why we're doing the drive. People are also giving money. Our student interns have raised money on Give to Women and Girls Day in October, and on Giving Tuesday, and some other opportunities for them to raise money. Those products and the money goes to our, if they don't go to HCC or to Howard County Public Schools, they go to the food bank, Columbia Community Care, or frankly, any of our nonprofit partners who raise their hand and say we could use some products or some financial investment to help with our clients. And so that is an opportunity where businesses and individuals are engaging and trying to support women and girls. Catherine, thank you again so much for all that you've done. And it sounds like we should be talking for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to get involved. I will also say that with these student interns, one of the things that we built in was for them to be able, at the end of their 9 months, to kind of do a review of some of our nonprofit partners who are participating in something we call the Big Give. They're sending in a letter of intent after we invited nonprofits to do that for a program that benefits women and girls. And we have a bunch of women who are investing $1,200 to be able to read these letters of intent and then decide together where this money is going to go. These student interns will also be reading those letters of intent and together deciding where they want $5,000 to go to support women and girls. And so I say that because that's another way to be thinking about, at least we are, stakeholder engagement, whether it is businesses or anchor institutions in our county or girls who are on the ground who need support or donors who want to, have more of an opportunity to have impact than they otherwise might alone. So that is what we're doing with that. But again, Catherine, thanks. And it sounds like we could talk after this.
Buffy, you said it all. You said it. I was going to say that too. Give and collective giving, and that's one of the things I think that can happen, Catherine. And again, I echo Buffy. Thank you so much for what you've been doing. But it's an opportunity for small businesses to really come together and say, you know what, I can't do this alone. I need to someone in with me. I need to bring another small business in with me. And collectively, we make this huge impact that, like Buffy said, we'll be doing at the Big Give in terms of impacting communities. Another thing, or impacting these nonprofit organizations. Another thing I would say is helpful is maybe getting awards or, commissions that where you can have a voice at the table as a business owner and be able to bring in, ideas and again, that goes back to that collaboration piece, being able to hear what other organizations are doing and kind of cross communicate, if you will. I serve on my my Rotary board, and we have an opportunity to give to the community as well. That's me as a small business doing my part to make sure that I am in tune with what we're doing at the Women's Giving Circle. Whereas if someone didn't get a grant at the Women's Giving Circle, I could for what we're doing in the Rotary Club. There are just so many things that you can do as a small business to be impactful. So I don't want you to get it twisted by saying small, because you're small, but you're making a big impact. So make sure that you know that, just as you are with what you're currently doing with the Women's Giving Circles in terms of donations. So thank you again so much for that.
Yeah, thank you. I don't believe in coincidences. One of my friends reached out to me about playing a part on a board recently, and I just got an email today about it. So everything happens for a reason. But thank you both so much for sharing.
We have a few minutes, so if anybody else wants to ask a question.
I would just add, I think that Women's Giving Circle makes it very easy to give, and in nominal ways. If you're not sure about a big philanthropic give, I love what you do with your newsletter, Buffy, and I wonder if you can say a little bit more about that.
Oh, yes. I think you're talking about our emergency response network. When we first started 23 years ago, and we were just starting to pool dollars from women to be able to make grants, we started out small with the amount of money that we had coming in. And then because our founders decided, to be a little bit more inclusive in terms of the amount of money that's coming in, as well as starting an endowment. At the time, I was one of the original founders, and I'll tell you, we were like, we are going to have no money to give out if we're starting an endowment, and being as inclusive as possible, where anyone can give whatever they want. But it has absolutely paid off. But because we were starting an endowment and giving smaller grants, there were women who were like, I love what we're doing, but I would also love to see more of an immediate impact on where my dollars are going. And so that we started something called the Emergency Response Network. And the idea behind it is that we work with our nonprofit partners on the ground who come to us and say, I'd like to be part of this emergency response network. And what they do is if they have a female client with a need of about $1,000 or less, it's like an immediate need, like her car it broke down, and once she doesn't have money to fix her car, and if she doesn't have her car, then she can't go to her job, and if she can't go to her job, then she's going to get fired, those sorts of things. If we can inject in a financial investment to help her get to that next level, and to stabilize whatever's happening in her home, that's what this emergency response network is for. And so we've been doing it for about 21 years. And if a nonprofit lets us know that they have this specific situation, it matches our criteria, we then send that out to our e-newsletter list, which is at about 1,500, primarily women who are on the list. We give a quick summary of this client in need and invite in financial investment of $1 to whatever you may want to give. And then once we reach that goal amount, then that money goes to the nonprofit. The nonprofit supports their client. We don't know who she is. We don't need to know who she is. We have our partners that we trust on the ground. And so we've been doing this, like I said, for 21 years. I can't think of a time that we haven't sent that emergency response network request out where we have, A, we've always met the goal, but B, where we haven't met the goal, usually within an hour. I would say on average, we have probably 30 women give. Again, anywhere from like $1, $10, $100, whatever it might be. The amount is, whatever the amount is valued, but collectively, we all reach that goal. It's not always the same people every time we send it out, and we support our nonprofit partners who then support a woman in need. And so that met the need of some of our early donors who not only wanted to invest for the future with the endowment and to give grants out on a yearly basis, but on a regular basis know that they're helping their neighbors and friends and females, women in our community on an ongoing basis. So that is what our emergency response network is. If you are interested in learning more, you can certainly reach out. It's also, I sent the link here. You can learn more about it on our website. And if you sign up for our newsletter, you'll get information about it. We actually have a request going out this week.
Yeah, that's so important. How do you find, or how do the people who are experiencing a need get connected with the Women's Giving Circle?
Well, they actually aren't connected with us because
Okay.
again, we don't need to know who they are. It's really our nonprofit partners. Any of the nonprofits who we have partnered with for years and have a relationship with, who are part of our emergency response network, we trust them. We don't need to know anything else. They tell us they have a client in need, we say great, and we help.
That we keep our ear to the street, Liz.
Okay.
through relationships and partnerships, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
The collaboration piece is amazing.
This makes me think of, I was a part of a similar discussion last month around stakeholder orientation. And it was a group of business leaders, and we were going around the virtual room talking about things that we were doing. And one of the things that we started doing this past year at our own company, we have a daily production meeting. It's just a 15-minute check-in, and it's operational. But we start by doing check-ins, energy checks, where you basically say 1 is like things are just as bad as they can get, and 10 things are as good as they can get, and anywhere in between. And it's, in the beginning it was a little awkward, but and I was saying, we're doing this, but I don't know where this is going to go. And the person who was leading the discussion said, this is really important because this is one of the ways that you can get a sense for if somebody's experiencing a need or is having trouble, because if they're consistently reporting, say, a 2 for 2 weeks straight or longer, that's a signal that, okay, maybe I need to talk to them and see what's going on and see if there's a way that I can help. But if we hadn't been doing that practice, we might never have known. So anyway, what you're talking about just reminded me of that example of something a business can do that may not seem grand on the surface, but actually could end up being a big deal in the long run for somebody. Okay, well, we are actually approaching time where I need to pass this off to Wendy so that she can tell us about membership and our next event.
Yeah, and I want to invite Maria, if she's able, to say, Maria's our secretary and our membership chair, but she is also in the car, so I'm not sure if she's available to do so.
Everyone.
Hi, Maria.
Yeah. And hi. And yes,
Yeah, spring break right now.
Maria, we
Yeah,
can't
it
hear
is
you
spring
very
break,
well.
right?
Yeah, I think your connection
Yeah.
isn't great, so we'll have Wendy take over.
Yeah, your connection's not great. Sorry. I just muted myself. Sorry. So our next event, we have an in-person event in May at Sapwood. Sellers, we love it there. We've had some really fun in-person events, so we hope that you'll show up. Also, we're doing a member campaign. Some of our numbers have been dwindling, and we want to make sure, just like Buffy said, I mean, it's an important organization. There's so many people that we know that are probably conscious businesses, and in today's world, man, consciousness is more important than ever. You know, working with your core values, having integrity in business, giving back, leadership, purpose. It's really important, and we would love to have some folks join our ranks. So you'll be seeing some information about Member Get a Member campaign. There's some prizes in it for you. If you are a member already and you get a member, let us know. Your name and the new member will be entered into a drawing. And if you're a new member that wants to join, let us know. You'll be added as well. And we're going to probably go through the end of May on that, but we'll bring you up to date on May 15th when we have our in-person meeting. I did put the link into the chat for where the homepage is. So we do a series of meetings online throughout the year for discovering the 4 different pillars, having a discussion about them, today being stakeholder orientation. And then we do 2 in-person networking events, and sometimes there's an extra either holiday event or something else as the need presents itself or the opportunity presents itself. And then we also, as a lot of people know, C3MD is the organizing partner for Ignite Howard County, which is a big part of our organization. And when you purchase your membership, you get free entry into events, and you got a great group of people, people to talk to, people to say, hey, how did you do this in your, your giving back program, or how did you do this and change this within your culture? So there's a lot of great ideas for folks, and people that you can pick up the phone with and talk to. So we would highly encourage you to go ahead and look into membership. It's not very expensive. It's if you're a large business, it's $500 per year. If you're a small business, that's 20 employees or less. It's $250 a year, and you can even join an individual membership for less than $100 a year. So it's well worth it, and it's a great group, and we would love to have you. So I'm hoping that you will help us spread the word when you see things on Facebook or LinkedIn. Oh, and please go and follow Conscious Capitalism of Central Maryland on LinkedIn and help us spread the word. If you see folks tagged, go ahead and share posts, and we would love to have more people joining our ranks. We think it's more important than ever.
And we hope to see you on May 15th, which is our next in-person event at Sapwood.
May 15th. We'll have information out about that soon. Thanks,
That's a great
everybody, for
opportunity
coming.
to
Thank you,
Thanks for
Buffy and
having us.
Kashana, for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
For having us.
Great to
Great
see
to
you,
see you all.
Catherine.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Matthew, great to see you. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody. Buffy and Kashana, thank you so much.
Thank
Always
you.
good to see you.
Thank you all so
You
much.
too.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Maria. Oh, Maria had to go.